past 25 years, thousands of people have contracted a potentially fatal illness known as Legionnaire's disease. Australian health authorities estimate there are around 200 new cases of the disease in this country each year. Legionnaire's disease and the Legionella bacteria are named after the first recorded victims, members of the American Legion, an American Return Services organisation. This outbreak in July 1976 killed 34 people. They died from an unidentified and, at that time, largely untreatable form of pneumonia. The disease was traced back to water in a cooling tower that was contaminated with bacteria. Since the first outbreak, and in the wake of many others, health regulators around the world have implemented guidelines and regulations designed to reduce the incidence of Legionnaire's disease. Building owners and managers potentially face severe criminal and civil liabilities if they fail to address Legionella control requirements. In Australia, several states have either recently strengthened Legionella laws or are in the process of reviewing them. The procedures and guidelines outlined in this program take the relevant laws into account and provide the general requirements involved in meeting best practice in Legionella control. We will focus on buildings used for office, industrial, education and health, or community-based activities. Taken in conjunction with key specific laws and guidelines applicable in your state or territory, which are readily available from health authorities, many of the procedures in this program can be done by suitably skilled in-house staff, where available. This would include in-house plumbers or building engineers and their trained staff. However, in the event of the detection of Legionella bacteria or the detection of high waterborne total bacteria counts, and for cooling tower cleaning, we recommend you consult an experienced water treatment company. You should also consult a water treatment company or health authorities if in doubt about any aspect of Legionella control contained in this program. Here are some key facts about Legionnaire's disease. Legionella bacteria are widely distributed natural inhabitants of water and are found in lakes, rivers and creeks. They are also found in some domestic potting mixes. It is only under certain conditions that the bacteria cause human infection, and even then, only people in certain high-risk categories are regarded as susceptible. The biggest danger is posed by Legionella bacteria carried in water aerosols or tiny droplets coming from cooling towers. The inhalation of these aerosols into the lungs can cause infection. Other sources of aerosols include warm water systems, spas, fountains, and occasions when water is splashed or sprayed so as to cause aerosols. Contact with Legionella bacteria on the skin, such as hands or other external parts of the body, or even by drinking, has not been associated with infection. Legionella bacteria may grow in cooling towers that are not cleaned and disinfected regularly. Cleaning and disinfection as part of a comprehensive management program are the keys to managing Legionella. Legionella bacteria grow in temperatures from 20 to 45 degrees Celsius. They survive at temperatures up to 50 degrees and begin to die from 50 degrees upwards, which is a typical temperature for domestic hot water services. From 60 degrees on, they die quickly. While the disease remains highly dangerous, it is usually successfully treated with antibiotics. Fatalities are rare in people outside the high-risk categories. High-risk categories include people over 50 years, smokers, heavy users of alcohol, and those with weakened immune systems. Cooling towers come in a variety of shapes and sizes, from large multi-storey structures to small units about the size of a phone box. Cooling towers are normally associated with air conditioning systems, refrigeration systems, or industrial processes. The basic function of these systems is to remove heat from a process or a building. Warm water is pumped to the top of the tower. From there, it falls through a structure known as the fill. The fill creates an extensive wetted surface through which air passes with the assistance of a fan. This causes the water to cool as it passes down and along the fill. Evaporative condensers work in a similar way to cooling towers. Cool water is distributed over pipes containing circulating refrigerants or other fluids needing to be cooled. Cool water falls down through the system, removing heat from the fluid in the pipes, and ends in a basin at the bottom. Tiny water droplets, or aerosols, are created by the impacting of water within cooling towers or evaporative condensers as the water passes down through the unit. It is these aerosols that can carry Legionella bacteria and be emitted from the air outlet at the top of the unit. Modern cooling towers are constructed in accordance with applicable design guidelines, made of non-porous materials, have easy to clean surfaces and allow easy access to internal surfaces of the tower, including the fill, located away from building air intakes, other building openings and areas of public access. The prevailing wind direction should be taken into account in the siting of cooling towers. Cooling towers must have drift eliminators, simple devices fitted to the air outlet end of a tower that minimise the dispersal of aerosols to the atmosphere. Walls surrounding the water basin should be impervious to sunlight. This reduces the potential growth of algae and other contaminants. Cooling towers need an automatic chemical dosing facility that continuously treats the system's water. The cooling towers seen in this program have these features, and together with a comprehensive maintenance program provide the most economic and effective means of significantly reducing or eliminating the risk of Legionella contamination. Outbreaks of Legionnaire's disease are most commonly associated with poorly maintained cooling towers. Health authorities have developed strategies and regulations to reduce the incidence of Legionnaire's disease by addressing the operation and management of cooling towers. Best practice in cooling tower system operation begins with maintaining the water in the system and the system itself in a clean condition. Best practice in delivering the necessary chemicals into cooling tower systems involves using a feedback-controlled automated dosing system that applies alternating doses of 2 compatible anti-Legionella biocides. The use of 2 biocides prevents the build-up of microbial resistance to the primary biocide. In addition, it is advisable to use a corrosion inhibitor and anti-scaling agent. This addresses the problems caused by rust. The presence of rust in the system provides Legionella bacteria with a food source, and scale provides the bacteria with harbourage. Again, best practice would be to have these agents delivered via an automated feedback-controlled dosing system. These chemicals are stored in on-site containers and provide many weeks of continuous treatment. Some systems also continuously dose a catalyst known as a biodispersant. Added periodically, the biodispersant lifts biofilm, such as slime and algae, from metal surfaces and allows the biocide to work more effectively against bacteria. In addition to chemical treatments, it is important to remove dirt and other matter from the water through physical filtration, as the build-up of sludge also provides a food source and harbourage for bacteria, including Legionella. Dosing systems are available off the shelf. In most states, they can be fitted by a water treatment company or a licensed plumber or electrician. They are relatively inexpensive, and in the case of this smaller unit, installation takes around 15 to 20 minutes. There are many anti-Legionella biocides and anti-scale, anti-corrosion chemicals available on the market. Health authorities or water treatment companies can advise on suitable options. Regular inspections and water testing are a vital part of cooling tower maintenance and Legionella control. Inspect cooling towers at least monthly to ensure the system is working properly. This involves a visual inspection of all important fixtures and fittings, such as the fill, basin and surrounds, the drift eliminators, water distribution arms and nozzles. Check for corrosion of vital components or leaks from the system. Replace any faulty or seriously worn components. During the monthly inspection, take a sample of recirculating water for laboratory testing of total bacteria levels. This will establish how well bacteria are being controlled. Water analysis must be done by an accredited laboratory, and these are located in suburbs and cities around the country. Take the sample from beneath the surface of the water basin in a place of steady water flow. If samples are drawn from sampling taps, take these after stagnant water in the tap has been drawn off. The tap itself should be clean and free of contamination, and the sample receptacle should be sterile. Keep samples in a cool, dark place and take them without delay to an accredited laboratory for analysis. The maximum permissible level of colony-forming bacteria units per millilitre varies among health authorities. Australia's most stringent regulations have a maximum permissible level of 100,000 colony-forming units. Where a sample produces a bacteria count exceeding this level, follow these steps. First, treat the system's water with additional quantities of biocide. In this case, the additional dose should either be larger in quantity than the usual dose delivered by the continuous system, or a dose of a different biocide. After a period of 2 to 4 days, take a further water sample and have it lab tested. During the 2 to 4 day period, as the additional biocide acts on the water, review the tower's general operating and maintenance procedures to ensure there are no inherent weaknesses in key areas that may have caused the high reading. Inspect the system and procedures for any faults. If the lab report of the retest for bacteria is below the guideline or prescribed minimum, the system can be deemed to be clean and left to operate as usual. However, if the lab test reveals a bacteria count remaining above the permitted standard, the tower must be completely cleaned and disinfected as outlined in the next segment, and a further water test conducted. If the test reveals the water is clean, the system can continue normal operation. However, if the bacteria level still exceeds the minimum standard, a further cleaning will be required until lab tests indicate that the minimum bacteria levels have been achieved in 2 consecutive water samples taken approximately 1 week apart. It is possible, although unlikely in any modern system, that bacteria levels remain above the minimum despite these procedures. In this case, best practice requires that you close the cooling tower until the problem has been remedied. This may involve the partial or complete dismantling of the system, followed by a very detailed clean. It may also mean replacing parts of the system which have allowed the ongoing contamination. At this stage, if not already engaged, a water treatment company should be brought in to advise on and manage the procedure. Best practice requires that you conduct disinfection, cleaning and re-disinfection in the normal course of events at least every 6 months. Where the tower is older, such as a timber construction, or is in a higher risk area, such as close proximity to a hospital, disinfection and cleaning should be more frequent. Best practice disinfection and cleaning involves several steps. Step 1 is preparatory. Add a biodispersant to the system's recirculating water. The function of the biodispersant is to be a catalyst for the next chemical treatment. Following the biodispersant, add either chlorine or bromine. This dosing is separate to any continuous dosing system and is designed to deliver a quick kill to bacteria in the system. Best practice is for the chlorine or bromine to be circulated in the system for at least 1 hour. After 1 hour's circulation of the chlorine or bromine, dump the water to waste and commence cleaning the system. This means physically removing scale, sludge and other tangible contaminants from the tower fill, all lines and the basin. The pipes and pumps should have been cleaned by the chemical treatment. Repair or replace any faulty and corroded components found in the process. This may include corroded or leaky pipe joins, pumps or seals, or other fittings such as inlet strainers. Refill the system with clean water. Add the biodispersant, followed by the required dose of chlorine or bromine. After 1 hour of circulation, again dump the water. To complete the cleaning and disinfection process, refill the system with water, add a further dose of either chlorine or bromine, and return to normal operation. Finally, it is important to note that this process should also be carried out in cases of the initial start-up of any new cooling tower, or where an operational system has been shut down for a period longer than 1 month. The requirement to test for Legionella bacteria in cooling towers within Australia varies between states and territories. In New South Wales, while regulations provide for optional approaches to this issue, the overall outcome is monthly testing. In Queensland, the advisory standard is for testing to be done at least 6 monthly, whereas South Australia and Western Australia presently have no legal requirement that all cooling towers be tested periodically. In Victoria, regular testing is required, with frequency based on the level of risk for a particular cooling tower system, but will usually lead to a regime that tests for Legionella at frequencies from every 4 weeks to quarterly. The Legionella test can be conducted at the same time as the monthly test for total bacteria counts outlined earlier. The established test for Legionella involves the growing of cultures over a period of around 10 days. In very recent times, a new and much faster test for Legionella has become available. Known as the Binax test, it has a 90 to 95% degree of accuracy and can detect the presence of Legionella within 2 hours. The Binax test is limited to only one type of Legionella bacteria, serum group 1, the one most commonly associated with serious human infection. At the time of production of this program, this test was not regarded by health authorities as suitable on its own under current regulations. It will, however, provide a quick assessment of the likelihood of the bacteria pending the growing of cultures. It is also useful in helping to quickly eliminate potential sources of infection in the case of an outbreak. In terms of routine testing for the presence of Legionella bacteria, best practice applies virtually a zero-tolerance policy. This means that if laboratory tests detect Legionella bacteria at concentrations of 10 or more colony-forming units per milliliter, remedial actions are required. As with the finding of high total bacteria counts, if not already engaged, at this point the professional services of an experienced water treatment company should be brought in to advise on and manage the cleaning procedure. This begins with dosing the water with additional quantities of biocide, followed 2 to 4 days later by a retest for the presence of Legionella. If Legionella is not found, the system can continue operating. However, if Legionella is found again, the second positive finding, the system must be disinfected and cleaned using the procedures outlined earlier in this program. Between 2 and 4 days after this cleaning process is completed, a further water sample should be lab tested. If clean, the system can continue normal operation. However, if Legionella is again detected, the third consecutive positive test, Australian best practice, as seen in states such as Victoria, requires that you formally notify the state's health officials. Health officials would then usually inspect the system and make recommendations on what actions are required to eliminate the bacteria. This would normally involve a prescribed decontamination procedure. This is designed to eliminate the bacteria in virtually all circumstances. It involves the use of higher doses of chemical treatments and more thorough physical cleaning of the system, and is the job of professional and skilled water treatment specialists. Once pronounced clean, the system is able to be recommissioned and returned to normal operation. All actions in this procedure, as with all other cooling tower maintenance activities, should be recorded in the cooling tower's specific maintenance logbook. This book and other records are a vital part of the overall anti-Legionella program. The maintenance logbook should contain information about all maintenance and upgrades done on the system and the results of each of the monthly system inspections. Other essential records include results of lab tests for bacteria and engineering and plumbing plans of cooling towers on site. Many health and building authorities also require the formal registration of cooling towers. Check with local authorities or water treatment companies. Managing cooling tower systems is not difficult, but requires careful planning and a knowledge of the laws that apply in your state. Government departments that deal with this issue are listed at the end of this program. Professional water treatment companies experienced in cooling tower maintenance and Legionella control can also assist. In the yellow pages, look under Water Treatment and ask companies about their experience in this area. Plan carefully and manage sensibly, and you will significantly reduce the risk of a Legionella outbreak. The health and safety of people working in and around your building depends on how well you deal with this issue.